Welcome everybody to Big Wizard TV. This is Ron, or Big Wizard, and I want to welcome you today to Painting with Patterns 2.0. This is a learning video for GIMP for painting cars in iRacing. I've been doing this now for a couple of years and getting pretty good at it, pretty organized with it. But I just do the patterns. I don't do like custom things. I just use patterns from iRacing, and it works out really well. The cars look really good. They look pretty customized and a lot of fun. So let's get into it. This is GIMP, and let me tell you a couple things that I've run into here that have made me change this. This is series 2.0 of this video series. I'm starting over because of two reasons. One, GIMP 2.10 has started to cause problems with my computer and being able to save the files and do things, and it's making it very difficult. So if you've had this problem with GIMP 2.10, I've switched back to GIMP 2.8, and while there are a couple downfalls to that because you can't open your previous files from 2.10, and some of the other things don't work quite the same, but it's pretty much the same, and it's just as fast as it used to be with 2.10 before. I'm not sure what dragged it down. The other thing I did recently is I upgraded to Windows 11, which may have had some impact, but this GIMP 2.8 seems to be really good. I haven't had any issues with it at all. It makes the target files you need. It doesn't open WebP files, which is a little odd, but I've got a converter that'll change them over to PNG files. Works just fine. So let me get started with this. Just a couple things that you might know, you might not know, and then we'll jump into getting some painting. Trading paints is used. Here's iRacing with all your cars, of course. You got all your cars here. We're going to pick on the Cadillac today. We're going to be racing at one of my series coming up soon. And if you use trading paints, then you can put a paint on the car from trading paints. And there's this new model that they have for about 6 months now. They've been using this model where you can see the paint, change the paint, and kind of see how it looks right in iRacing without opening up a session. That saves a ton of time, and it's a lot faster because you don't have to control R and refresh and all that stuff. So this is a great new tool. You just open up your content, you go to your cars, you pick your car, you pick car model, and it shows you what the car looks like. Now this one, you might be able to tell I don't have Trading Paints paint for it. It's just the standard. Like if I were to go to paint car, I would be able to pick a paint like you go through regular. You pick your colors, and you can, with that, you can just pick a design out of these, and you can say, okay, make that my car. And there you go. You can put sponsors on it, which is great. You know, they have quite a few. You can zoom in. You can look at things really good. It's great. It's a great tool. But if you want to go a little more in depth, you want to do a little more with it. What I'm doing is I'm taking the pattern or the template from the car and opening it up in GIMP and modifying the paint. Now this particular car, this Cadillac that I've got here, this one I've used Trading Paints. Now Trading Paints, if you're not familiar with it, you can go to Trading Paints and you can find a bunch of different paints for a bunch of different things that people do. You can pick the car you want, and oh, look at all these cool looking paints from Trading Paints. You can just pick one of these. You can say use it, race this paint, confirm. It'll take a second, load it up for you, and you're good to go. So if you don't want to paint the car, you don't have to. It'll do it for you. And you see what's really cool about iRacing is it'll flip it for you. It'll just put right on there whatever you load in that folder, a special folder. I'll show you where it is in just a second. And you're done. You're good to go. So it's great. But if you want to go more, you want to go deeper, you paint the car. And this is also the paint car areas where you change the wheels too, by the way. Right now I got blue chrome wheels. If we want to go like silver chrome, we could do like a silver chrome wheel. And you see that changed it from a blue chrome to a silver chrome. Now it's kind of universal. You use that color anywhere. But you see down here, these patterns, they're not valid anymore because we're using Trading Paints on this car. So one thing I'm going to do, though, is in order to paint it with GIMP, I'm going to turn off trading paints. I'll load my paint back up there when I'm done, but for now I'm going to shut it off. So you go down here to your system tray with all your goodies down here in the bottom right corner. And you see the little trading paints icon right here. Just kick that thing out, and as soon as that does, it'll delete the file from that folder. And once that file is deleted from the iRacing folder on your documents folder, paint, Cadillac, there's the file. Once you delete that, it goes back to the paint from iRacing. And now you can pick your colors and all that stuff through here. But we're going to do it different. We're going to download the template, and we're going to make this paint in GIMP. Okay, we're going to make a custom one. All right, I'm going to show you how to do it. So you download the template. You just click Download Template. It'll open up a window, and it'll download the file for you. It says it's completed. You need to go find the thing wherever your program or your computer is programmed to put it. Here it is, 41 template CTSVR zip file. You can't really do much with the zip file, but you do need to copy it. So in Windows 11, your copy's right up here, copy. And then I put everything in a Dropbox folder. You can pick wherever you want to organize your stuff, but I have my own folders. So I have a vehicle folder right here, vehicles, and I've made folders for the Cadillac, and I'm going to paste this file, which is right here, paste. It's already there, but we'll go ahead and replace it anyway, and just in case they made any updates to it. iRacing makes changes all the time. But when you open this up, you get the PSD file, okay? And you need to put that back in the folder so you can use it. You cannot open a file from GIMP inside a zip file. So you have to save this PSD file right down here. Okay. And all I did was save the VSV file. These are older, okay? So they do not apply. This is stuff I did quite a while ago, and well over a year ago. That's the file I need. So this one, and this one are going away. Okay, so the file I need is this Cadillac file. All right, so now I'm going to go to GIMP. Okay, this is GIMP. Like I said, this is GIMP 2.8. And I'm going to open that file. So iRacing, vehicles. This is just how I organize. You can organize however you want. And here's the PSD file. So it's going to open it up. It's going to convert it into an XCF or XCF file, which is the standard file from GIMP. Okay. All right. Now you've got a whole bunch of stuff on the screen. You got your picture here on the screen, and I'm going to get rid of that line because I don't need it. I'm going to view. I'm going to zoom and put this thing in the window so it's bigger. I'm using a full screen. Now, a couple things I always do. I configure my tools so I can see them better on the side. And I also make sure I have the selection, the view selection turned on. You can turn on the selection editor and it'll let you see what you've selected. It helps me out a lot when I'm doing something like if I select a box, it'll show me I've selected that box. It comes in handy a lot of times, especially when you're painting. This particular car has shading and everything on it. This is really cool looking, but we want it to look different. So what we're going to do is first we're going to minimize this thing so it's out of the way. Spec maps we'll get into on another video. Definitely not going to hit that today. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to organize. Okay. So here I'm going to make a new folder. I back it up so it's on the same level as that diffuse. Come on. I want to out one, but it's not cooperating. Oh well, we'll do it later. And we'll call this one pre-made. So the first thing I do is I take all the pre-made stuff and I stick it in a folder. Okay, and I do that so I can easily get it on and off. So you can turn on and off things. But some of these things are required, like you got to have your little boxes here with your, your number panels, and certain things on the car are required, and those things are in the car mandatory. So I put that inside pre-made. Car decals are pre-made. Pit box colors and change colors. Change colors is usually somewhere it says Cadillac on the car. Yeah, Pirelli Cadillac, a couple places. And you can take those off, or you can change the color if you want. Pretty easy to do. But anyway, I put all the pre-mades in there. I shrink them up, and now I can turn them off. Now I get to work with the car. Okay, now this is my car. Now they've got one here pre-made, this diffuse one. We're not going to use that. We're going to use a pattern. Okay, so, okay, there's that layer. All right, that was the layer with the fancy paint job. We are going to use one of these car patterns, and we're going to make a car paint with these patterns. This one looks a little complex to start with. That one looks pretty good, and it's a nice looking design. A little plain Jane for me. No, I don't like that. Don't like doing fades. That one looks kind of cool. Mediocre. That actually looks kind of neat. Don't know how it would look on that particular car. A little way too loud there. Again, fades. Checkers are kind of cool. Let's pick this one we found up here. This one. I think it's pretty good. Pretty good. It's got the 3 colors in there, and it'll work really good for us. So I've got my pre-mades all hidden up in here. They're going to work no matter what we build on the car. And then we're going to use this pattern, and we're going to pull colors off that, make layers, and we're going to put decals on it. So it's going to should look pretty cool. The one other thing on this one I got to do is get rid of the copyright so we can paint. That's not really needed. It's also in the turn off before exporting. A couple things really important in here is the mask. It helps you know where the car parts are, and the wireframe also helps you know where the car parts are. Both really, really big helps. But I'm going to squeeze those off just for now and leave them in their little box so they're out of the way. I'm going to turn off the pre-mades, and we're going to get to work. First, we're going to save this file so it looks like our file on iRacing. Right now it looks like this, because this is the standard iRacing file that comes in if you don't have anything in your folder. And I'll show you where that folder is and how to make it stick. Okay, so back to GIMP. Now let's go find the folder, okay? Your folder is on your C drive, under Documents, under iRacing, and under Paint. And then you find your car. Now these cars are labeled from iRacing. I didn't make these labels up. I made my own labels up, but so I can find what I'm looking for. But you have to find what you need in here by their names, by their naming convention. Cadillac CTSVR right here. There's nothing in here. Okay, this is where we're going to store our file. And the file has to be a Targa file, which is a TGA extension. And the file has to be in the format of car underscore and then your ID number from iRacing. Where's my ID number for iRacing? It's right here. I'll show you. We're not going to save any progress there. We're going to click on our helmet. You're going to go to Profile. Now remember, this is my ID number, not yours. You will need your own. My number is 481464. You will have your own number, but you need to know that number. Okay, so let's do a test. We'll pull up the Cadillac. Let's do a test, and we'll save what we have, which is this ugly red and green Cadillac that looks like no one would ever drive it in their right mind. But let's export it. We need to make sure we pick the file type. Like I said, it's going to be a Targa file, so pick the Targa image file, and then you need to give it a name, which has to be car underscore. That's backwards. And now I can't remember my number. So let's go find the number again. 481464. Had it right the first time. Just so you know I'm a real person. 481464.tga. And I need to put this in that folder. So I need to put it in Documents, on my C drive, my Documents folder, iRacing, Paint, find the Cadillac, and put it right in here, car underscore your number .tga, export. It'll bring up this little box, says, you sure you want to do this? Just hit export. And now this ugly red car will be in iRacing. There it is. So this is how you're going to test, right? This is how you're going to test what you're doing as you paint. You can see what happens right as you go. So it's really good. It does put some things on there mandatory that you can't get rid of in this view, like your number panel and the number on the front, and a few. I think that's about it. And the Cadillac logo on the side of the tail, which might be on my drawing. I can't remember if it was there. It doesn't look like it is. But as you notice on here, those things aren't here. So they put those on there mandatory, which means there's no way you're going to get rid of them. So don't fight it. All right, so we found our pattern. Now we're going to make a new folder and keep things organized, people. I mean, it's critical to be able to find things later, because this might not be the only time you paint this car. You might have another paint job on it, and you need to pull all these up and change them. So we'll call this one Paint Layers, and we are just going to make layers out of this pattern that we chose. Okay? Layers is how GIMP works. Everything is on top of everything else. Right now, this is a flat file. All this is one layer. But as I make more layers, I can change things and put them on top of them. All the pre-mades are in a layer above that base color. Okay? Let's see, layers. I can show you layers real quick. If I have a document here, and I'm going to make a square, and I'm going to make that a blue square, and then I'm going to make, go away. Go away. I'm going to make a circle. And one of these is going to be in front of the other one, right? So the blue circle is above the gray box. And if I were to make something else, okay, I can put that over the top of both, or I can bring them forward. I can bring to the front and put the gray box in front. Those are layers. Okay, layers make a difference in GIMP. That's how GIMP works, is by layers. So just understand that one thing can be on top of the other one, and that's how you're going to get your depth on your image. Okay, quick and dirty on the layers. Text me in the message on the bottom in the comments if you want to know more about layers, and I'll help you out. Okay, so right now we've got three things going on here. We got the background, which is red. We've got this green layer, and then we've got the blue layer. Okay, so if we look at our car, the background is the base color, and then the green sits over the top, blue is on the bottom. We can change the wheels to whatever we want. We can use a blue in the paint, make the wheels look cool in blue. It doesn't really matter. Those are easily changed. So let's first pick the layer we want. So we're going to start with the green. So we're right here. We're going to pick the color tool. You see the little pick tool here in the toolbox. And we're going to pick, while we're selected on the layer, we're going to pick the green. And this is where I was telling you how it's really cool to have the selection tool on the bottom. I can see exactly what I've selected. I've selected the green. Now I got a pretty tight threshold here, which means I'm going to be pretty tight on my layer on the edges. So I'm not going to get anything extra. You can see, if you really get in close here, you can see we're not getting all the green, okay? Because my threshold is probably a little too low. Okay, your threshold is how loose it is when it's going to pick those colors. Is it going to pick a little more than it needs or a little less than it needs? So let's select none. We'll change our threshold up to, haven't figured out this new tool yet, the new one. Get it up around 100. I'm clicking and dragging, by the way. There's got to be 100 ways to do this, but that's the way I figured out how to do it so far. And we're going to do this again. Okay, and now let's zoom in and see, we got more of it. You see how we got more of the green? So I like that a little better. That gives me a little bit cleaner line. All right, now I don't want the little Cadillacs and the Pirellis because I'm going to put those things on myself. So I'm going to take my square tool, and these little boxes right here on the left in your toolbox, this one makes a new selection. This one adds what you do to the selection. This one removes what you do to the selection. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to remove those words, those names. There goes Pirelli. He's gone. We'll get rid of Cadillac, which we may have to do in multiple steps because it's really close to that line. Yeah. Get rid of that one. Get rid of that one. Now check down here to make sure we don't have anything extra. You can see this little white tick. That's this little arrow. We can leave that. That one's fine. Let's get rid of the Cadillac top and bottom right here. Make sure we're still on the minus. We're going to subtract that out on the other side as well. Luckily, the cars are symmetrical, so you can see them. Then there's a Cadillac on the nose. Okay, now what's cool is I can turn on those color change logos in the pre-made and I get all those back. So if you want them, you don't have to delete them, or you can just pull them back later. Okay, so now I just have the green paint and the little arrows that are on there, and the arrows are kind of for the car itself. But let's go ahead and make this top section, let's say it's white, okay? So now I'm going to go to my paint layers. I'm going to move my paint layers down here below pre-made because I want the pre-mades to sit on top of the paints, right? These are your layers. You're looking at these things in layers. So now I need a new layer, and I'm going to call it top stripe. And I'm going to make my top stripe white. So over here's your color picker. Here's your primary color, foreground color, and then your background color. So I'm going to make my foreground color white, which this is your color selector. You can do all kinds of stuff. You can do RGBs, you can do hex codes, you can do, you can make numbers, you can make colors to your heart's content. But we picked white. We go to our fill tool, which is the bucket tool. We're going to fill in everything in the whole selection as white. Make sure you click whole selection, not just similar colors, or it won't get everything for you. So now we've got the center and then these stripes, and then there's a piece here that looks like it goes on the hood, maybe, or the tail, not sure, and maybe a piece of the wing. Let's go ahead and find out. Let's go ahead and file. We're gonna, now that we've exported the paint once, we can just click export to car. It'll kick it over there, and there's our paint. So there is, yeah, there was that little piece of the bumper, and it might be the piece underneath this grill, which you can't see, which is, it looks like the grill and the headlights are part of the template that we can't adjust because they're not on our template, as well as this right here. As you noticed, I didn't put anything else in here, and it's still there, so I can't get rid of that. All right. We still have the green because we didn't get rid of the green on the Cadillac or the Pirelli logos. But we've got our white in place. Okay? That's our first layer. So congratulations, you got a layer. All right. Select none. Don't forget to unselect before you get the next one, because if you do that, you'll mess up all kinds of stuff. All right. Turn off your layer for a minute. Go back to your car pattern. Let's get the blue. Same tool. We'll leave the threshold where it was. Boom. We selected the blue. Make sure it's got everything you want. Oh, look, it's got Cadillac written in here in green. I don't want that Cadillac there, so I'm going to zoom in, which you zoom in by holding the control key on your keyboard and scrolling your mouse. If your mouse doesn't have a scroll, then you can use the zoom tool, but it's going to be really slow. Make sure your mouse has a scroll tool. Now this time I want to add this because right now it's subtracted. So I'm going to go to my square tool. I'm going to go to add to the selection. Boom, and now that's part of the selection. You go to your move tool and it'll flip it back. It'll deselect it for you. Boom. Okay. And now you can see over here on the right, I've got my stripes and my bottom stripes. And those are the blue pieces. So what color do we want them? I don't know. But one thing I did notice is I'm zooming in here that I don't like the way this line is. I'd rather it was a little cleaner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to do this selection layer. Whoa, not that far. I'm going to do this selection layer on the blue again. Okay, so I'm going to go select none. And I'm going to crank up with my selection tool. I'm going to crank up my threshold. I need to figure out how to use this tool. There we go. To about 140. Okay, I'm going to try it again. Let's see what it looks like. Still a little jagged. Not real happy with that, but it's on a diagonal. It's going to be hard to get, so I don't know if there's a whole lot more we can do with it. Let's try select none. Let's see if we can get it around 160 and see if it does any better. Not much. Okay, this is what we got, so we're going to work with it. All right, we're going to go to our selection tool. We're going to go to add. We're going to turn on put the Cadillacs in the blue. We're zoomed in, so that's really, sorry about that. That might have been a little dizzying. But now we have the pieces we want. We've got the stripes and we got the bottom pieces. So now we need a new layer. So back to paint layers, make a new layer, call it bottom stripe, or whatever you want to call it. And we're going to make it, let's go with like a nice forest green. So we pick green, we go over here to a nice dark green. We go to the bucket tool, and we fill it in with green. Okay, and you can see the Cadillacs went away. Okay, so now we have our car. Believe it or not, we have our car base paint. What we need is a background. Make a new layer, call it background, spell it right. If you're a perfectionist, if not, you can spell things however you want. And we pick a color. Make sure you select none before you paint in the background. But let's pick, let's see, we got white and green. Gold goes good with white and green, right? So let's find a gold color. That looks pretty good. Kind of mustardy. If you want to know, this is another trick. What color is gold? Good question. Hex color, gold. There we go. There's a gold. FFD700. Color picker. FF. You remember what it was? I don't. D700. D700. Okay. And now we have a pretty gold color. See, nice yellowy gold. Bucket tool, dump. That dumps in the entire background area, which covers everything that isn't in the layers above it. The green layer and the white layer are above the gold layer. So that's where they're going to sit. Now we can turn on our pre-mades, and we can go File, Export to Car. We can go over here and we can peek at it. And there it is. Not bad. Actually looks pretty good. Let's change the wheel colors to, I think green would look cool. So let's go down here to like a dark green. And we'll make them brushed finish. And now we have green wheels that look similar to the car. Okay, save your car design. And it'll save the green wheels. Whoop. And iRacing now has that as your paint because it's sitting in the folder. Now let's put some logos. Pretty plain Jane looking, right? Let's use this high visibility area here to put a logo on it. Now let's say you've got a sponsor that you like, or maybe your league has a sponsor like ours. First of all, before we go any further, we're going to save this. It's an XCF file, and we're going to go out to my iRacing folder on my Dropbox, which I've shortcutted here on GIMP. You can shortcut stuff right here by adding a folder. Like if I click that folder, I can add that, and it'll put it right in here. That's pretty cool. It's a really, really helpful tool when you're looking for your stuff. Vehicles. Go to the Cadillac. Let's give it a name. Why don't we call it, let's see, is it Cadillac 22 S2? Because that's what time it is in iRacing language. Now the file's saved. Okay, we've got our paint layers, we've got our pre-mades, we've got these car patterns, but we're done with them. So we can turn them off. We don't need them anymore. They're gone. They won't change the car anymore. All right. Some things look like they're pretty well set that we're not going to be able to change. Stuff like those headlights and the grill, I don't see anywhere, so you're not going to be able to change any of that stuff. But we can put logos and decals on top of here. Okay, so I'm going to put a big logo right here on the door of one of our sponsors, and I'm just going to do this real quick, and then we're going to save this out. We'll end this first video, and at least you'll have a good base of how to get started on painting a car, and then we'll get into some cool details on making some custom logos, manipulating logos, downloading stuff from the internet, stuff that you might want to use to get your car a little more advanced. But for now, this is pretty much how you do your patterns. It's this simple. It's not that complicated to make the patterns. You grab the colors, you put the patterns in, and you rock and roll. You know, you're pretty much done. From here, if I wanted to stop right here and put this up into Trading Paints, I could do that. I could go back to Trading Paints. You make sure you're logged in as you. Look, there's me. I go to My Paints, what I'm racing. I go to the Cadillac. It's going to show me what I'm racing right now according to Trading Paints, which is that Hot Wheels one we picked earlier. I'm going to choose a new paint, upload it. I'm going to select my file. Where's my file? We should know this. It's under Documents, iRacing, Paint, Cadillac. And then my number as a TGA file. Boom. It's uploading, and there we go. Green and gold, ready to go. So according to Trading Paints, this is our paint. So when you go out in a session right now, out in the world, and anybody running Trading Paints will see this paint on your car. Okay, so let's put one logo on, and we'll finish up. We'll save it out there to Trading Paints again, and then we'll be ready to rock and roll. And then we'll be good with this first video. All right, so let's find GIMP again. And let's find a logo. File, and this one you're going to open as a layer. Okay, the first time we opened the whole car is an open as a file. But now we want to open it as a layer. If we open another file, it's just going to open a new window inside GIMP. So if we were going to go to our iRacing, and if you know where your files, you have to know where your files are at. It takes a while to get used to that and get a system. But if we open it as a file, boom, here I have it, but it's not on the car. Car's over here. Whoop, cancel. Car's over here. The car's not over here. So I'm going to open it as a layer, and I'm going to go to this same file, iRacing. Go to my logos for Stair Fittings, which is our awesome sponsor. Big Wizard TV sponsor, Stair Fittings Inc. And then we'll bring in the logo. Okay, we're going to move it around. Put it on the door. It's a little bit big, so we're going to go to the scaling tool. Make sure your scaling tool is locked so it stays in the right dimensions, proportions. Grab it from the corner. I think if you grab it from the top, it will not scale correctly. It'll scale like it'll squish it. So we got a lot of real estate here, so we should be able to put this in here nice and, whoops, apparently I didn't do it. Should be able to put this in here nice and big. Scale. Okay, there we go. Now it fits on the car. Let's see what it looks like. Export to car. Go to the car. Hopefully I did this so the car's the other. Yeah, cool. It's not there. Why not? Well, it's on the other side. There we go. Stair Fittings Inc. Probably could use a little bit smaller or maybe a little bit more forward. So let's go back to GIMP. We'll go to our scaling tool again. We'll pull it forward slightly. Top and bottom. We'll hit scale. Send it out there again. Export to car. Yeah, that looks good. I like it. Nice and big logo on the side of the car. Nice view for the sponsors to see their logo on your car. Back to GIMP. Now we got to get one on the other side. So what are you going to do? You're going to open the file, move it around again? No. One thing I did forget. I always put my logos in their own folder. So I call it Decals. I move it down in between pre-mades and paint layers. And I take my logo and I stick it inside Decals. The reason I do that is so you can turn on and off things easily. Decals should be in Decals, in my opinion. You can put them in there. You can turn them on and off. Pre-mades are pre-mades. If you want to adjust something, you can in pre-made. Sometimes it takes a little work. We'll get to that in the next video. All right. So we need to make a copy of this. So we're not going to open it up again and try to get it the same size. We already have the size we like. So we're going to go to the logo. We're going to duplicate it. This little tool right here. It says create a duplicate layer and add it to the image. Boom. Copy. Okay. So this one, we're going to call it SFI logo driver's side. And this one, we're going to call SFI logo passenger side. It's pretty simple. It seems kind of silly, but keep things organized. That's how you do it. Okay, if you see how it's moving all over, how do I get it where I want it? Hold down your control key and it'll make it so it has to stay in the same plane that it started as. Find about where you want it and then go to your rotate tool, this little tool right here with the two boxes and the double arrows. You grab it, you spin it. I usually spin it just to get it started so I know what to type, but since I'm doing 180, just grab the bar, flip it to 180, hit rotate, boom, you're done. File, export to car, go to the iRacing and see what it looks like. And there you go, stair fitting zinc on both sides of the car. Car still looks pretty plain right now, but it is drivable as is. You could send this out like we can right here on Trading Paints. You can just do it again, paint, choose new paint, upload paint, select the file. It automatically takes you to that same folder. The file is already rewritten there because you just exported it. It'll put the logos on the car. You're good to go. That is painting with layers. Just step one. We'll get into it a little more here in a little bit. I won't want to take you on here forever. This is a long video. But that should get you started and hopefully keep you organized and get you moving along the right direction. Thanks for watching. This is Ron with Big Wizard TV. Check out all our videos on tv.bigwizard.com, BIGGWIZURD, bigwizard.com. And we'll pull up our little logo here on GIMP as we close out. But I closed it. So I'm going to open recent and hopefully I can find it. tv.bigwizard.com. There we are. Find us out there. It takes you out to our YouTube page. We got all of our racing and everything else we do out there with our league. And all of it is sponsored by Stair Fittings Incorporated. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.